On this, let's go to the Foundation of Defence Democracy, Senior Fellow and former IDF personnel, Jonathan Conricus. Jonathan, there's a bit to make sense of just in the past half an hour or so. First of all, what do you make of Hamas approving this ceasefire deal?
Yes, good morning. A lot to unpack, and I think we have to be very, very careful because lives of Israeli hostages are at stake, and of course there's a lot of lives in Gaza that will be affected by this as well. What I understand so far corresponds with what you have been reporting, that what Hamas allegedly agreed to is something that wasn't on the table to begin with. And I think it is a ploy or a decoy in order to get headlines that say Israel refuses to a deal that Hamas approves. And I think that it basically boils down to Hamas wanting to end the war by giving up some of the hostages, and Israel saying that, no, we're not going to end the war in return for some of the hostages. That, in my mind, is the bottom line. And as we're speaking, there are reports indeed of initial IDF operations in Rafah. Mind you, that warnings have already been issued by the IDF for the people who live in those specific areas to evacuate, because combat operations are going to start. As per the IDF, they drop leaflets and are, as we call it, preparing the battlefield.
Right, so that's what that is, preparing the battlefield, these precision strikes?
That is definitely what it looks like. It could be that, and it could also be an extension of the negotiations, as in sending a message to Hamas that if you don't agree to the deal that the US and Egypt and Israel put on the table, then this is the other deal that you're going to get. And let's remember, Israel has been waiting for basically 4 months for Hamas to agree to any type of deal. And during those 4 months, Hamas has received almost everything that they wanted to negotiate for and wanted to receive in Gaza. There's an abundance of humanitarian aid coming in. People are moving into northern Gaza, and there's very little, if any, IDF troops inside Gaza. Yet no hostages have been returned. There are still 132 Israeli hostages that are in extremely difficult conditions in Hamas captivity, many of them dead, sadly, some of them still alive, and of course need to be brought back home.
Where are these humanitarian zones where the Palestinian refugees are going to go to basically make way for a potential invasion of Rafah, Jonathan?
So there are a few locations, and the IDF has issued specific maps via leaflets to the Palestinians. Some of them are northeast of Rafah, and some of them are in the Muassi area along the coast, northwest of Khan Yunis. And then there's another area slightly closer to Israel. We could envision it perhaps more as different areas or islands of humanitarian zones to which I believe international aid will be channeled to, and from which I hope the Hamas will decide not to fire from in order not to make it more complicated than it really is.
Okay, Jonathan Conricus, it's good to see you again. We'll talk to you again soon. Appreciate it.